Hello everyone, my name is Sarafi and I'm happy to meet you all. And today we're going to be playing Runick Spright for Hire. Runick Spright for Hire is a great deck. I play it a ton on ladder. I actually got the idea from Distant Coder. Distant Coder, another YouTuber who used to make content, and legitimately the only reason I became a YouTuber was because I was just getting sick of waiting for Distant Coder videos to come out. So a great content creator and a great deck, which I have a ton of fun playing. I'm going to teach you guys how to play it now. For the hand traps, we are playing 3 copies of Max C. Max C is extremely important in this deck because it is level 2, and Spright cares about level 2 monsters. You can normal summon your Max C and then special summon any of your Spright monsters to start a play and use your Max C as material. This means that Max C is extremely good going first, which is rare. Usually Max C is more of a card that you can play going first and you really appreciate going second, but with this deck, Max C is actually a tool that you can use to start your plays, and it's not a brick, which is really impactful for how good a hand trap can be. So, Max C, send this card from your hand to the graveyard to draw a card every time your opponent special summons. It's really useful to us as well because during our opponent's turn, if we Max C them, we get to play a lot more cards because we have a lot more cards that can be activated during the opponent's turn from our hand than most decks. All of these Runick spells can be activated from our hand. So a good 10% of our deck can be activated off of Max C as opposed to the typical like 4% of the deck, or 25% of the deck, I mean. So yeah, next up we are playing 2 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom not nearly as important in this deck because we can answer basically any response that our opponent plays. So if our opponent plays, draws something or they special something, we can usually just destroy the card or negate the card. So it's a useful card to have, but Ash is just not as good in this deck because we have so many answers for everything else. Then we are playing no copies of Nibiru, no copies of Infinite Impermanence, no copies of Effect Veiler, no copies of Called by the Grave, and no copies of Crossout Designator. We don't care. We do not care. We are all gas. Our engine is primary because we have so many different engines that we need, so it really just it doesn't fit. None of our cards fit. So we're only playing a couple other hand traps, but the staple that we are playing is Evenly Matched. This card is insane in Runick, and we're playing it at 3 on ladder in a best of 1 format, and it is worth it, I promise you. Evenly Matched. At the end of the battle phase, if your opponent controls more cards than you do, you can make your opponent banish cards from their field face down so they control the same number of cards as you do. You can activate this card from your hand if you control no cards. This is extremely powerful going second. The reason why is because it will allow you to get rid of most of your opponent's board and allow you to just play through most of their negates by simply getting them off the field, and a lot of players don't have an answer to a trap card. Baron de Fleur exists, and there are a couple of other Omni negates that are played, but for the most part, people tend to play monster effect negates because monster effects are the primary threats to anyone. And that's what makes Runick really, really unique, is that they have so many spells and so many traps that you can actually get around a lot of decks that have a lot of good monster negates by simply playing all your other cards first, and then you get your monsters out. So yeah, evenly, you can, if you open this card going first, you can still discard it for your Runick Hugin to draw your field spell, and that's fine. And if you go second and you get 2 copies of it, well then that's great. I've actually used the second copy of Runick of Evenly Matched going second when my opponent was able to negate the first Evenly Matched, because you can just play it again. It's great. It's not once per turn. So yeah, Evenly Matched at 3. You won't regret it. For the For Hire cards, we have Donpa Marksman for Hire. During your main phase, you can special summon 1 monster for hire from your hand, except Donpa. If a monster for hire is special summoned to your field while this monster is controlled, you can target one face-up card on the field and destroy it. Great. We're playing this at 1. We special summon it from the deck with Folgo, and we just destroy cards, and we pop off. Our main starter is Runick Spells for Hire. This is level 2, so it triggers all of our sprites. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add 1 spell or trap for hire from your deck to your hand. So we have 2 spells or traps for hire, and we can search either one of them. During the main phase, if you control a monster for hire as a quick effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target 1 card for hire in your graveyard, and either add it to your hand or special summon it if it was a monster. You can only use each effect once per turn. So Rex is great. It's a very powerful card, and you can use it to get your board out and pop off. You can also use it to revive during your opponent's turn, which will trigger your Donpa so that you can pop other cards. We are playing one copy of Beat Bladesman for hire. That is because we can search it off of Rookie for hire, which we search off of Rex for hire. So essentially, Beat we play at 3, but it's only one copy in the deck. Level 3, during your main phase, you can special summon one monster for hire except Beat from your hand. If a monster for hire is special summoned to your field while you control Beat, you can add another monster for hire from your deck to your hand. Solid card. Rafale, Champion for hire. If this card is special summoned, you can excavate the top cards of your deck equal to the number of monsters for hire you control with different names, except Rafale, and if you do, add one of those cards to the hand. Then, during either player's turn, once per turn, if your opponent activates a monster effect as a quick effect, you can discard a card for hire, and then Rafale negates that effect. Okay, so it doesn't destroy the card, but this is a very solid monster. It's level 8, it's a dragon, and it's a good card to use. You will often have this on the board along with your other Runick cards, and it will be just one more negate that stops your opponent from doing anything. Then we are playing 3 copies of Fossil Dig, which I'll include in the for hire segment because it's used to draw Rex. Add one level 6 or lower dinosaur monster from your deck to your hand, not once per turn. Play it, draw Rex, get more copies of Rex to thin your deck out so that your other draws are better, and then you can also discard additional copies of Rex to use as negates for Rafale. For the for hire spells, we have Mayhem for hire. Target a monster for hire from your graveyard and special summon in defense position. Since you have to special summon in defense position, you cannot target a link monster. This is really good. Use it to bring back your Rafale and then destroy a card because you have Donpa out. It's an excellent card to use during your opponent's turn. Rookie for hire. This is the card that you will draw off of Rex. Tribute one monster, special summon one monster for hire from your deck or hand whose level is 1 higher or 1 lower than the tributed monster on the field. You cannot declare attacks this turn except with monsters for hire. Okay, so Rookie for hire is really, really strong because you just tribute a level 2, any level 2. We have a ton of level 2s in the deck. And then you can get your beat out. And then you pop off with the combo, which we'll be going over when we get to the extra deck. So yeah, Rex, any other level 2, that's the combo. For the Spright cards, we are playing 2 copies of Spright Blue. If you control a level or rank 2 monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Spright Blue once per turn this way. If this card is special summoned, you can add one Spright monster from your deck to your hand except Spright Blue. You can only use its effects once per turn. So Spright Blue, our main starter, we special summon it if we have Max C out, if we have Donpa or Rex out, if we have any other level 2 out, Hugin, we can special summon it. And then we just draw Jet. Spright Jet, limit 1. If you control a level or rank 2 monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon it once per turn this way. And if it's special summoned, you can add a Spright Spell or Trap from your deck to your hand, which will be our Spright starter. Spright starter, special summon one Spright monster from your deck, but lose life points equal to its original attack points. Also, for the rest of the turn after you activate this card, you cannot special summon except level, rank, or link 2 monsters. You can only activate 1 per turn. So Spright starter will allow us to go from blue to Jet, then starter, special summon red. Red, if you control a level or link 2 monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon 1 per turn. When your opponent activates a monster effect, you contribute a level, rank, or link 2 monster, negate the effect, and then if you tributed a link or rank 2 monster, you can also destroy the monster once per turn. And then you can also get Carrot, which is the same thing except for spell cards. If you control a level or link 2 monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon it once per turn this way. When your opponent activates a spell or trap card, you can contribute a level, rank, or link 2 monster, negate the effect, and then you can destroy the card if it was a link or rank 2 monster that you tributed. So you will usually get 2 monsters out, blue, Jet, starter, gets red out, then you can make Spright Blue and Spright Jet into Gigantic and special summon the Carrot, and now you have both Carrot and red in rotation. Really, really good cards. So this is a really small package. It's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards in your main deck, but because they all draw each other, it's just insane. And then for the Runick cards, we are playing Runick Tip. Each Runick card has the following effect. Activate one of these effects, but skip your next battle phase after activation, and one of the 2 effects is always, you can special summon a Runick monster from your extra deck to the extra monster zone. For Tip, it's add 1 Runick card from your deck to your hand, except Runick Tip, and then banish the top card of your opponent's deck. This is great. This is fantastic. You can use this to draw a lure, you can use this to draw a fountain, you can use this to draw any card that you need. and it's a great starter to put cards in your graveyard so that you can use Fountain to draw more cards. You will play this at 40 if you could, so 2 is fine. Runick Flashing Fire. Target one special summon monster your opponent controls, destroy it, then banish the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck. Yeah, that's really solid. Being able to destroy one of your opponent's monsters is important, and you can play this card, like I said, if you draw it off of Max C during your opponent's turn, as long as you have Fountain out, which is insane. Runick Destruction. I'm not sure why they limited this card to 1. It was limited to when I stopped playing this deck a while back. Activate one of these effects, but skip your battle phase. Target one spell or trap your opponent controls, destroy it, then banish the top 4 cards of your opponent's deck. So you have to have a spell or trap. It does let you stop field spells, and field spells have been getting more and more powerful, like cards like Planet, where when you activate it, you get to draw whatever you want. So I guess as long as Konami keeps using field spells as a crutch for Rhoda, then Runick Destruction will continue to be better and better because every deck is going to rely on their field spell actually resolving. But if you're going to attach that sort of effect to a field spell instead of like a regular spell, then you're asking for people to start playing Spell and Trap Destruction, so I don't know why it's a problem. Runick Freezing Curses. Target one effect monster your opponent controls, negate its effects until the end of the turn, then banish the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck. Great. Negating monster effects is huge, and you can activate it in response to a monster effect being activated, and it still gets negated. So this is a great card. This is why we don't play Imperm. Runick Slumber. Target one face-up monster on the field. The next time that monster will be destroyed by battle or a card effect this turn, it is not destroyed. Also, it cannot attack this turn. Then, after you apply this effect, banish the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck. So you can play this card on your turn and target one of your monsters to banish the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck. And then on your opponent's turn, you just target whichever monster is the biggest threat, and then it can't attack. So, very, very strong card. I love this card. It works out really well, so play it too. It'll be fine. Runick Smiting Storm. Banish the top cards from your opponent's deck up to the number of cards they control. So if they have 7 cards, then you get to banish 7 cards. Crazy. Absolutely insane. And if you go first, this is the great card to use to special summon a Runick monster from your extra deck since it doesn't do anything otherwise. So it's good to have a card that's like very obviously the one that you want to special summon with, and this is the one. And then lastly, we're playing Runick Golden Droplet, which allows us to force our opponent to draw 1 card, but then we banish the top 4 cards of their deck. These happen in that specific order, so you can't. If your opponent has 5 cards left in their deck, you're not going to deck them out. You're just going to. They draw a card, then you have to banish the top 4, and then the next time they withdraw, they lose. Now, it's important to note, especially with Golden Droplet, that you can only banish top 4, not up to the top 4. So if you play Golden Droplet, you won't actually be able to activate Golden Droplet if your opponent has fewer than 5 cards in their deck, because you can't resolve the effect, and it's not a May effect. So yeah. All right. Oh, I forgot about Allure. Runick Allure. Each time a quick play spell is activated, banish the top card of your opponent's deck. So we have Runick Spells, we have For Hire spells, and we have Spright spells. And our opponent also has quick play spells. So yes, this counters Called by the Grave. This counters No One of Crossout. Just force your opponent to keep milling, because every time they play a card like this, they get their top of their deck banished. So yeah, you just constantly banish cards from your opponent's deck. They are face up, so your opponent can still activate card effects that would activate if they get banished, but it also means that it's public information for you, which is huge. I would much prefer that these cards be banished face up than face down, because I can see what my opponent's deck has left. And when you're banishing a sheer number of cards from your opponent's deck, like 4 or 5 or 6, you could be banishing like a card that's very key to their strategy. And if you know that card isn't coming, you can play around it. So yeah, this is a very, it's a deck that's very difficult to pilot. You have to be very experienced to play it, but it's a lot of fun. For the extra deck, we have 2 copies of Hugin the Runick Wings. If this card is special summoned from the extra deck, you can discard a card to add 1 Runick field spell from your deck to your hand. This will usually be your evenly matched if you have it. Otherwise, you can discard a Runick spell that you can't play to put it in the graveyard so that you can use Fountain to shuffle it back. If another card or cards you control will be destroyed by a card effect, you can banish this card you control instead. And if this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, return it to the extra deck. Really solid card. We played it too because our opponent likes to negate it. And the effect is not once per turn, by the way. So you can, if you activate Hugin the Runick Wings, discard a card, your opponent negates it, then you can summon another one, discard a card, and draw the Runick Fountain again. So, if you have that many cards, which you usually will. Munin the Runick Wings, level 3, which is not good. Level 2 is much better. But if this card is special summoned from the extra deck, you can discard one card, add one Runick continuous spell from your deck to your hand, which is a lure. That's fine. When your opponent activates a card effect that targets a Runick card you control or a set card you control, you can banish this card you control to negate the activation, and if you do, destroy the card. And once per turn during the end phase, you can gain 1,000 life points. Munin is insane. I love this card. Being able to gain 1,000 life points every single turn when you're playing a stall mill deck is crazy. Your opponent will struggle to actually stop you from winning the game just by this card. If you can get this card out on your turn, and then you stop your opponent from summoning, then, they have to pass. You have fewer cards left, but now you can pass to your turn, then you pass again. That's 3,000 life points. You are now at 11,000, as long as you manage to stop your opponent from destroying Munin on your turn. So now they have to work 1.5 times as hard to kill you in one turn, and they usually won't. And at that point, if you get to refresh your fountain and draw 3 more cards, then every turn that Munin buys you is 3 more cards that you could draw, or 6 more cards that you could draw. So this is a huge, powerful card. Definitely played it 1. It's great. Gary the Runick Fangs cannot be destroyed by card effect. If this card is special summoned from the extra deck, you can target one non-quick play Runick spell in your graveyard and add it to your hand. So if they manage to destroy your fountain, then you get to put this card back. And if they manage to destroy your allure, you get to put it back. Oh, I didn't talk about fountain. Foolish of me. Runick Fountain. You can activate Runick quick play spells from your hand during your opponent's turn. I'm sorry. You guys have been like, what is he talking about, being able to activate all these cards during your opponent's turn? Yeah, the field spell does that. So you can activate Runick quick play spells from your hand during your opponent's turn, and then once per turn, if you activate a Runick quick play spell, you can target up to 3 Runick quick play spells in your graveyard, place them on the bottom of your deck in any order, then draw the same number of cards. So as long as you have 3 Runick cards in your graveyard, you put all 3 of them on the bottom of your deck, then you draw 3 different cards. Huge. Huge being able to draw 3 cards every single turn. It's great. This card is limited to 1. Very sad, but you can search it, so it's fine. Okay. Number 29, Mannequin Cat, requires 2 level 2 monsters. Once per turn, you can detach 1 material from this card, target 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard, and special summon it to your opponent's field. If a monster is special summoned to your opponent's field while you control this monster, you can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. Special summon 1 monster with the same type or attribute from your hand, deck, or graveyard. You can only use this effect once per turn. So, this is if you special summon blue and your opponent negates it with Ash. Then as long as you have another level 2, you can revive the Ash, and then you get your red or your carrot from your deck. Because it literally just lets you special summon any fire monster as long as you revive Ash. So you give your opponent 1 card, and then you get to get your blue or your red out and continue your plays. It also means that they have a monster on their field so that you can destroy it and trigger your Folgo, which we'll get to. So yeah, this card's insane. Gigantic Sprite requires 2 level 2 monsters. For this card's Xyz summon, you can treat a Link 2 monster you control as if it was level 2. The original attack of this card that has a Fusion, Synchro, or Link monster is doubled. During your main phase, you can activate this effect, detach 1 material from this card, and if you do special summon a level 2 monster from your deck, also neither player can special summon it for the rest of the turn except level 2 or rank 2 or Link 2 monsters. You can only use each effect once per turn. Okay, so Gigantic allows you to turn off Goddess. It allows you to turn off Nibiru. As long as you can make it before your opponent has the opportunity to use those cards, you stop them from being able to summon any monster that's not a Link 2, a Rank 2, or a Level 2. So you can't special summon Nibiru, so you can't tribute anything. You can't special summon Goddess, so you have to use IP to make, like, Sprite Elf or something like that. So it's a great card going second. Going first, you can use it to get your specific cards out. You can also use this card to special summon Rex Freight for Hire. It does lock you, so you can't actually start playing the For Hire package, but you get Rex Freight for Hire on the field, you draw your Rookie for Hire, and then you have plays for next turn. So Gigantic is a crazy good card. Nightmare Phoenix and Nightmare Unicorn, these are just good cards to use against Labyrinth and a few other decks. The Mirror. IP Masquerena requires 2 non-Link monsters. During your opponent's main phase, you can immediately after this effect resolves, Link summon 1 Link monster using materials you control, including this card, and a Link monster that was linked summoned using this card as material cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Okay, so you will make IP and Elf often. And if you have IP and Elf, you can immediately go into Avramax, which is fantastic. Avramax not being able to be destroyed by card effects, already can't be targeted, and basically never loses any battles, and also is the only monster your opponent can attack. That's a solid, good card, and if it gets removed from the field, you get to spin a card. So Avramax, great, and then you can also use it to make Goddess, which is insane as well. And if you really want to, you can also use it to make Folgo during your opponent's turn, which allows you to get some cool plays off. This is especially useful if you 2-lock yourself. So if you weren't able to make Folgo on your turn because you had to use a card like Spright Starter or Spright Gigantic to actually get the cards that you needed, you can make IP past your opponent, then IP with 2 other monsters, which does mean that you're making essentially a Link 4 for a Link 3 cost, that you can summon Folgo, and then you can use its effect. Folgo being unable to be destroyed by card effects is very powerful, because it's a very good card, but yeah, it's an option. Spright Elf, this card needs to be banned. Just ban this card already. It's insane. 2 monsters, including a level rank or Link 2 monster, cannot be used as Link material. The turn is Link Summon, but can be used as Link material every other turn. Your opponent cannot target monsters with this card points to with card effects, which is not applicable to us because we will always use it in the main monster zone as opposed to the Link zones. During the main phase, as a quick effect, you can target one level 2 monster in your graveyard, or if your opponent controls a monster, you can target a rank or Link 2 monster instead and special summon it. Okay, so we will use this to bring back our red or our carrot so that we can have extra negates, or we can use it to bring back Runick Spells for hire to trigger Donpa and pop a card. Solid. Donner Dagger for hire. This is the primary card that we will use for our combo. It requires 2 monsters with different types. You can target 1 monster for hire you control and 1 monster your opponent controls and destroy them. I have never used this effect. It's not good. You contribute 1 monster, special summon 1 monster for hire from your hand or graveyard with a different name than the attributed monster. Then if you attributed a Link monster to activate this effect, you can special summon 1 more such monster. You can only use 1 effect per turn and only once that turn. Okay. The way this card is worded is very weird. Essentially, it is 2 special summons, but they are not at the same time, even though they're part of the same effect, and they resolve at the same time. So you special summon 1, then you special summon another. The only reason this matters is that it allows you to trigger all of your monster for hire's effects of, if this card was already on the field and you special summon another monster for hire, you get to do this. So it's a very oddly worded card, but it's really, really good. So what you'll do is you'll summon your Rex, you will draw your Rookie, you will tribute another level 2 like Hugin, and you will special summon Beat. Then you will use Rex and Beat to go into your Donpa, or is it your Donner. And then tribute Donner to special summon Beat first, and then Rex. That allows you to trigger Beat's effect so that it can search. You will draw your Rafale, use Beat's second effect to special summon Rafale. Then you can link those 3 monsters into your Folgo. Folgo, Justice for Hire, Link 3 with 2,400 attack points, requires 3 monsters with different types, cannot be used as Link material ever. If this card is Link Summon, you can special summon 1 monster for hire with a different type from the 3 monsters used for the Link Summon from your deck in defense position. So that will be your Donpa. If a card your opponent controls is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can draw 1 card. Then if you control 3 or more monsters for hire with different names, draw 2 additional cards. You can only use each effect once per turn. Okay, so we already have Runick drawing us 3 cards every time we once per turn when we activate a spell card. And we have 3 copies of Flashing Fire. If we manage to destroy a monster, then we also get to draw 3 more cards off of Folgo. And the difference is we did not shuffle any cards with Folgo, so we're actually digging deeper into our deck. So we are drawing 6 cards per turn while recycling 3 of them. That is amazing, especially when we're playing a mill deck and every card that we play thins our opponent's deck even more. So Folgo is just an insane card. I play it at 2. It's worth it to have it at 2. You will always make this card every single game. It's fantastic. Abramax requires 2 monsters special summon from the extra deck. When this Link Summon card is on the field, your opponent cannot target with card effects. And they can't attack any other monsters except this one. Once per battle during damage calculation, if this card battles a special summon monster as a quick effect, you can make this card gain attack equal to that monster's attack during damage calculation only. If this Link Summon card you control is sent to your graveyard by your opponent's card, you can special shuffle. You can shuffle 1 card on the field into the deck. I'm sorry. Yeah, solid, insane card, especially with IP. And then lastly, Goddess. You can use one of your opponent's monsters to Link Summon this card. It has 3,000 attack points. If it's Link Summon, you can negate all monster effects that your opponent currently controls permanently, and it's unaffected by your opponent's activated effects unless they target this card. And then once per turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect that special summons a monster from the graveyard, you can negate the activation. You don't destroy the card, but that's the first effect is all that you care about. Being able to use one of your opponent's monsters as link material is crazy good. But then the other 3 effects are all also really good. So yes, Goddess is an insane card. I can't wait for the Moon card that's coming out to support her. Okay, let's take a look at the replay. All right, so we are going first. We did not open our Rex, but we opened Fossil Dig. We also opened Rookie and Rafale. So this is a brick. We have opened 2 of the cards that we want to draw from our deck. Really rough, but we'll make it work. So we activate Fossil Dig, and we're going to draw Rex. Normal summon Rex. Rex effect, draw the Mayhem, because that's the only target we have left in the deck. Then we activate Flashing Fire to special summon Hugin from our deck, extra deck. Hugin effect, we pitch the Rafale to draw the Fountain. Then we activate Fountain. And at this point, you might be thinking, what's going on? So I was really distracted by my opponent stalling out and wondering what his hand traps were. So I actually forgot that I didn't Rookie. So I made Donner before I had Beat on the field. Big mistake on my part, but it worked out anyway. Donner Tribute itself, special summon the Rex from the graveyard and the Rafale from the graveyard. Now we can Rafale, look at the top card, we get another Flashing Fire. We'll activate Rookie, tribute the Rex. Our opponent's going to Bestial Magnamut to banish the Hugin from the graveyard. That's actually really good for us. We special summon the Beat, and then we're going to play Mayhem to special summon the Rex, and now we can just link summon. Well, first we're going to draw another Rex. Special summon the Rex, and then we link summon. Folgo, Justice for Hire. Folgo special summons the Donpa from the deck. Then we activate Runick Tip to draw a card. We're going to draw our Runick Allure. Banish the top card of our opponent's deck. It's Vanadium. Runick Fountain, we get to shuffle 2 cards from our graveyard into our deck. We activate our Runick Allure. We banish the Rex from the graveyard to target a monster in our graveyard and special summon it. We special summon Rafale, and now we can use Donpa to destroy the monster he special summoned. Then we activate Folgo's effect. Since we control 3 monsters for hire with different names, we can draw 3 cards. And we drew into our Spright Red. Crazy good. Special summon Spright Red, link the Spright Red and the Rex off into Spright Elf. Then we will use Spright Elf to special summon the Spright Red from our graveyard. And we pass turn. It's our opponent's turn. They get to draw Druid Worm at the end of the phase. They draw. They're going to special summon the Druid Worm from their hand, but we're going to chain Spright Elf. So Spright Elf brings back our level 2 for hire. Now we can use Donpa to destroy Druid Worm. Druid Worm will trigger its effect to send our Folgo to the graveyard, but Folgo's effect triggers second, so we get to draw 3 cards first. And now that Folgo is gone, it doesn't really matter to me. So as you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards in my hand. And I still have my Runick Fountain draw. And this is just after I built a solid board. I still have 8 cards. Opponent's going to activate Triple Tactics Talent to take our Spright Elf. Then they're going to use Visas Starfrost to try and destroy Spright Elf. And we will activate Spright Red's effect in response. We tribute the Rex Straight for Hire to negate that effect. Visas remains in the hand though. Opponent's going to activate the Vanadium Obsession, which allows him to add a planet from his deck. We're going to go ahead and Ash Blossom that. The opponent's going to activate their Field Spell, which allows them to draw a Vanadium monster, but we have our Runick Destruction, so we get to destroy it in response. That banishes the top 4 cards of our opponent's deck, and they don't get to search. We also have to banish the top card from Lure. Alright, they're going to banish the effect from their graveyard to special summon Visas anyway. And now we can activate Flashing Fire to just destroy it. And then we get to shuffle 2 cards from our graveyard back into our deck and draw 2 more cards. And at this point our opponent concedes, because we are now at 7 more cards in our hand. We still had a negate, and our opponent was just dead. They had nothing left. So they tried to search multiple times, and we stopped every single one of them. We still had the ability to destroy their cards. We still had a full board. We were still able to link summon, attack, do everything, except we were going to skip our battle phase. But we had complete control. We had banished several of their resources. This is a fantastic deck if you can play it. It's difficult. Watch the replays tomorrow because you will need to learn how to play this deck, but you can do it, and it's a lot of fun. My name is Srafi, and I was thrilled to have all of you with me.